Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Unplugged as we still come down from the staggering high of Sunday. Not something that anybody had seen coming, simply for the point that nobody has ever seen that before. And it was remarkable in the sense that, you know, from a position within the first half of utter frustration and disappointment, and you know, there were probably a lot of fans like me who, I remember after the Sydney game messaging people going, you know, football's the worst sport in the world. Fuck it. You know, shit sport, shit game. Because of its ability to, you know, build you up and hit you like that. And then in the Melbourne game, same thing. I'd rarely been as disappointed as that in a half. And then within an hour, it's one of the greatest highs that you could feel, in a game, just simply because of the, you know, the pure unbridled joy that came with it, riding the wave of momentum. And, you know, a lot of people might get into it saying, you know, it's not a final, it's not a flag or anything like that. Of course it's not, but there isn't a side in the competition. You could have won the last 8 flags that wouldn't have been over the moon with that wouldn't have had that as one of the most memorable moments of recent times. And, you know, a fitting reward. And I think Ross summed it up a little bit post-game, where he mentioned that at half-time heads were down and they were a little bit flat, and he said, remember the joy of playing footy and the, you know, the young boy that loved the game when they were a kid, and don't let the game get you down in that sense. And I think that's probably something for us as well. I mean, you think back to, it was just playing footy. There weren't necessarily consequences in terms of the ladder or anything like that. It was just throwing caution to the wind, having a go, highlights everywhere, and a memorable win. You'll talk about that for a long time. Where were you when that happened? You remember Nasiah's mark and the 666 infringement of the goal after the siren. And it's one of those things that you can take out of the gloom. And, you know, there's been a lot of great commentary around the game, but I think it was Jess Webster on Triple M that said it reminds you why you love footy, and it does. And I think we need that reminder, and we probably did need it. And it kind of gave it to us. It's not really about anything else other than just that was an exhilarating ride. That you'll remember, that's the takeaway out of the season, regardless of what happens, Nick, is that memory of everything that unfolded, because it was unexpected and breathtaking, really.
Yeah, I mean, Ross loves his TV show references and all those sorts of things. I wonder if he'd spent some time watching Welcome to Wrexham, the new season of Welcome to Wrexham, because at the end of that season, as Wrexham are going for back-to-back promotions, and they're up for the last game of the season, I think, or second last game of the season, they need to win to be promoted again. And Rob McElhenney walks into the room, the locker room or whatever, with all the players there, and he says, you know, I've been asked, the coach has asked me to say some words, you know, ahead of this big game and whatever. And so, you know, I'm not an athlete. I'm not a motivator. I've reached out to a few of my friends, and apparently, you know, he had these text messages from Super Bowl winners and NFL players and golfers, etc. And he said the one takeaway is go into this game and remember why you love playing this game. Don't play this for the coaches. You're not playing this game for the club. You're not playing this game for the fans or whatever. You're playing this game for the 8-year-old you, or the 5-year-old you, or the 12-year-old you who just got outside and played footy at the park. Mm-hmm. And there was a bit of that kind of mentality from Ross, and I think it kind of makes sense when you've got, I mean, especially as we've got a combination of older players, and we've got a lot of young players, and you know, it has been a grind. I mean, we've played some good footy over the last month and a half, but we haven't obviously been able to get that win. And that must be tough. That must be really tough for the group to know that you've put in the effort, put in the work, and still haven't been able to come away with the points at least once in that period. To then go and think about that young boy who took shots at goal in the park, or played kick to kick with your dad, or whatever it was. I mean, those things can be really powerful, and you know, whatever it was that lifted the group at 3/4 time, I don't think any of us saw it coming. You know, H, you and I were sitting with a bunch of friends of the pod in Charlie Clausen and his family, and Matt Stewart, and you're all kind of joking throughout the first 3 quarters that this is it. This is what we came here for, was to be putrid for another week, and I was kind of hoping for something a bit more, and then all of a sudden, bang, 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 out of nowhere. It was just, I've talked a lot over the last few weeks about that confluence of wanting obviously high draft picks and wanting to do the best thing for the club and the future of the club in that regard, but that there's no experience like winning experience. And if you were there in that stadium in that final 8 seconds, if you were watching on TV, watching those final 8 seconds, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that there are some St Kilda fans that were thinking, I don't want to kick this goal. I don't want to score here. I want to lose, or I want to draw at most so that we can, keep our place in the draft order. But I don't know anyone who was thinking that. As a diehard St Kilda fan, all I wanted in that moment was for Naz to kick that goal and to tie it up, and then to kick to just to score, to win. That's all I wanted. I didn't care about draft picks. I didn't care about next season. I just wanted to win. And you could see that in the playing group in those final few minutes. Like, they just gave it everything. They don't care about what draft pick we have. They just wanted to win a game of footy. And that's ultimately what matters at the end of the day.
And H, that's the point. I mean, if someone had have said to me with a minute to go when Wanganeen took that mark and was lining up for the shot at goal, if someone had have offered St Kilda an additional first round pick to lose that game, saying you finish bottom 4, we'll give you pick 4 and pick 5, I wouldn't even take that. The reality is that I think what you get out of it, and I'll talk about it a little bit later on in the Shannon Knoll, but what you get out of a moment like that. And I think, and that's what I hope. So often it's big picture in footy. It's draft, it's ladder position, it's contracts, it's this. But in that moment, it's about memories and being totally and utterly overwhelmed with the moment that, I think if we've got to allow ourselves to be less regimented and live in the moment for what it was.
Yeah. Well, that time, that game and the result it's just something that it can build as much in the future as what a top draft pick will. You look at the way that the guys got around each other. I mean, everyone in that on the St Kilda side, everyone in that stadium at that point, nothing else mattered. It was something that we'll probably never see anything like that again. It's just a moment that, as a club, we were above every other team right at that point. We felt better than any team right then, and that's the sort of thing that a lot of people are going. Also, it's a point where something like that. I mean, Naz thinks about it a lot probably now. It's a moment that he has had, and he's going to remember, and he's going to think about forever now. And he's ingrained in a moment in time that is going to be shown again and again and again. And I reckon the St Kilda fans are probably worn out YouTube already, and it's Fox footy servers are running hot. It just would have been replayed and replayed, and it's going to continue to be replayed and replayed. But it's just something that everyone at that point was able to just take in and be as one as St Kilda. And yeah, just hopefully that's what a kicker can be, to push that group up, to push the connection between them, just to bind them harder than what they are currently. It's the sort of thing that builds a confidence. Even no other week would we think, oh yep, we're going to come back from here. Like, we'll be 8 goals down in it. If we might turn around and be 8 goals down against North this week, we're certainly not going to sit there going, oh, we got this, haven't we? It's not something that's going to happen 2 weeks in a row. It's a one out of the box thing, but it's something that can be built on. It can be basically turn us around. It can change a lot of things. And the one I sort of almost look back at it, you go back to the last game in 2001. Yeah. We knock off Hawthorn, are racing towards finals. I mean, yes, the guy that
kicked the goal, ended up leaving.
Yeah, hopefully that's not the comparison point. So.
Well, I did say to someone, they said that, and I said, well, it's not his last game. So
that's true.
That's one thing we've got on the side there. So, it's that almost felt like it gave that group a little bit of a, that feels great. That feels, that's the best feeling. So it just builds that wanting to win.
We've talked about that all year, right? That this development journey and building something special, building a winning culture, and nothing creates a winning culture like winning games of football. Winning begets winning, and it doesn't matter if getting a number 6 draft pick or a number 12 draft pick doesn't change that winning culture. Winning games of footy changes that culture, and you hope that whether it's a pick 6 or a pick 12 or whatever, that talented kid comes into a group that wants to win games of football, and that's how you build a winning culture. And it was just, it was one of the funnest 25 minutes of footy that I can remember in recent times. It was just an incredible half an hour of footy, and I haven't had that much fun at a point when half an hour earlier we were 8 goals down. No way I saw that coming, but that final couple of minutes just made it all worthwhile. Like it was just incredible.
Yeah, I hope it too. It's one of those touch the sky moments where they're working hard, and another point that Ross made and a few other people have made when talking about it is that they are clearly, as a young group, they're listening to the coaches, they're working hard. The whole of club is working hard in every department. We're a long, long way from the finished product. We're a long, long way from perfect. There's a lot of important things that we have to get right, but you can tell they're listening. You can tell they're learning. And that's one of those moments where you can bottle that and say, that's what can happen. And it's not just a case that you played the perfect game where you came out and blew a team away. This was going horrifically. And within half an hour, it became probably the most memorable moment of your career to that point. So that's got to be the message, that if you persist, that's what can happen. And you can get your head up into those heights more and more and more. And, Paul Roos made that point on, might have been the ABC, where there was some mild criticism from dickheads about how they had a beer for an hour in the rooms after the game, not the function they went to, but in the rooms, which at every level of football, that happens all the time. It doesn't happen at the AFL because there's almost a case of, we've just sung the song, had our meeting, go and get your skin folds, check out how much fluid you've had, go talk to the dietitian about what you should eat tonight and how much sleep you should have, and all of that regimented stuff. But it's just a case of, hey, boys, sit down, have a beer, talk to your mates, reflect on how good was that, or when you ran over there and you did this. And for anyone who's played footy, I mean, I've never won a flag, but for anyone who's played footy, they're the things you remember the most, is sitting down after games and reflecting on great victories and great moments. And if you're someone like Nas and, building that camaraderie with the group, and Windhager and all of these young kids, Hastie's only played in a couple of wins, Taru had never played in a win, to get that sort of vibe, Boxall maybe one win, they're really, really important for team building. So we don't have to be regimented all the time. It's footy, and it's allowed to be footy.
Well, so much. There's so much emphasis and priority placed on the data and the analytics and the statistics, and like you said, the skin folds and the diet and the sleep and the schedule. That moment. Like they'll be talking about that in the coaches' meetings, in the players' meetings for weeks. Remember that feeling. Remember that feeling. Remember what it felt like to sit in the rooms and have a beer with your mates that you just did something almost impossible with. If not impossible, very improbable. What you did was something special. Now, keep that in mind next time you run out on the field, because you want that feeling again. You want that feeling next week. You want it the week after. You want it the week after. You want it round 1 next year. You want it round 2 next year. You know what I mean? Like, this is, like you said, this is why you play football, to win games of football. And I'm not sure that they're going to be focusing that much on on the data and the analysis. I mean, potentially from the first first three quarters, what went wrong? Why were you so flat? All that sort of stuff. But there'll be a lot of remember that feeling, remember that moment, remember how you felt in that moment, and let's go out there and do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, create that. And just before we do the votes, H, what was the moment? I mean, kick 9 in the last quarter, but when did you think we could win the game? So the first 3 goals of the last quarter was marginally frustrating, where you're like, oh yeah, nice, but it's papering over some cracks a little bit. But I thought then we were cracking in, and then when Steele, it was a few minutes later, but when Steele kicked the goal that got us within 4, I just remember the eyes prick up a little bit, and you're like, we're actually half a sniff, because you could see he sort of gritted his teeth and turned around and pumped his fist and was like revving, and you're like, they think they can win. And that was probably the first moment in the last quarter where I'm like, we're actually a small chance.
Yeah. Well, to tell the truth, myself and Nick were sitting in front of the Melbourne coaches box. We actually had a live clock right next to us. So we kind of had an idea how long was left and that sort of thing. And I think it got to about the 18 or 19 minute mark. And we're like, oh, yeah, we should still have plenty of time. We've kicked a couple of goals here. We looked up and there's 5 minutes left, and we're thinking, oh, okay, that time feels like it's just disappeared. And then we kicked 2 more really quick, and there was sort of looking at each other going, this is on. We are on here. The Sharman goal from 50.
The wheel around.
We have got the momentum. We are absolutely flying here. It just felt like at that point after that goal there, you're going, this is serious. Like we'd said to each other at 3/4 time, let's just get a few goals. Let's win the quarter.
Just win the quarter.
Let's put something in. Let's hope we don't just keep going the way we were going before that and get blown out by 70, 80 points. Let's just have a show for the last quarter. Let's hope that they turn up. I mean, we go now. Wow, they turned up. That's for sure. It was a completely different team to what we were seeing the first 3 quarters. And yeah, it just felt like their heads, their confidence just raised with each goal. And it wasn't like we were just like constantly down our end the whole time. Melbourne were getting shots still. They were still having, the ball was still at their end. They were still getting free kicks 50, 60 metres out from their goal. They had opportunities, and every time I went down there, it was a bit like, oh, yep, that's it. We're done now. We're done sort of thing. But we'd answer. We would answer those chances that they would take. Normally, we would be in that situation, 4 goals down, whatever, go kick a point. Then it turned back right around the other way, and within 30 seconds, there's a goal down there, and okay, we're cooked now. But the opposite was happening. They were going down there having their opportunity, missing. We'd bring it back up and we'd counter it and actually get them. So it's just one of those days where it seemed to be at the end of the third, something just clicked somewhere. Something just changed completely. And we became the team who was we sent out a team that was actually unbeatable in that last quarter. They became a team that was unbeatable. And just the change, you think, wow, if we half played like that in the first 3 quarters, like we just didn't let them get away in those first 3 quarters, it would have been a comfortable win. It would have been, probably like the game we played them earlier in the season. That's the sort of thing, but it wasn't a lack of finishing or anything like that in our situation. We just didn't get it to our end. The ball just never got down there. And it was, just one of those days you're thinking something hasn't happened. Something is going wrong. As we said, they just said, look, keep it simple. Just do what you enjoy. Go out there and play football. And that's all they did. They played football and they played it bloody well.
It's not like they did anything like revolutionary either. It's not like they put Jack Higgins at fullback, and you know what I mean. Like they didn't switch things up in a way that no one saw coming. It was just like you said. It was just unleash the shackles and just, like you said, go and play footy and go and enjoy it, go have fun, go and do the thing that you love doing. And it felt like that. It felt like they were doing what they love doing and having fun. And, the celebration at the end kind of showed that.
Looking at the votes out of that game, there are quite a few players, obviously, that we could have given a number of votes to. So I gave 5 ones and a 5, probably not surprising as to exactly where that landed. I gave a vote to Jack Sinclair, who I thought for most of the day was pretty good amongst our best players. Gave a vote to Max Hall, who had something like 5 clearances in the last quarter going into the middle. I gave a vote to Jack Higgins for his influence on the game with 4 goals. Obviously, a particularly strong performance from him. I gave a vote to Zach Jones, who I thought was, he's certainly got his critics, but I thought he played quite a strong game. Couple of turnovers, but overall played quite well. I gave a vote to Mason Wood, who I thought his last quarter as well was particularly influential. Probably could have given 2 to Hall, could have given 2 to Wood, could have given 2 to Higo. Gave 5 to Nas. Not just, clearly he's done the equivalent of kicking a goal after the siren twice in the same game, which is ridiculous. But 34 possessions, 4 goals, multiple clearances. He set up the Higgins goal. He set up the Sharman goal in the first of the Sharman goals in the last quarter. And you look at almost the final stages of a player who's clearly phenomenal and a player. You can't shake that feeling in the back of your head that, geez, I hope he doesn't just have 4 more games left for us. I hope he's got 154 more games for us. But, to elevate that into clutch and match winning, to almost seal that as the player that wants the moment. It's the old Michael Jordan scenario where it's high pressure moment, give me the ball. That was the high pressure moment, give me the ball or make this mine. There's not enough superlatives for someone who, if he stays as Saints, will be top 10 and possibly top 5 all time at the club. I know that sounds like a hyperbole, but he's a phenomenal player. So that's my distribution of 10H.
Very, very similar. I gave one to Jones for what I felt like he was our best player in the first half almost. He just seemed to be the one that was basically putting in the effort, putting in the work. He probably worked harder than I reckon most out there at that point of the game, and he was doing good things with it as well. It was breaking down after what he had done, and I was feeling for him in that first half, to be honest, because it just felt he was putting in that effort and not getting the reward for it. One to Sinclair, just worked hard, did what he could. He got stuck in a few positions at time, managed to just get us out a little bit, kept them thankfully down to the point of beat the margin that they actually had. A few things he did that could have, if not, would have made the margin a little bit bigger. So good work there. One to Higgins, 4 goals. That could have been a 3, possibly even 4 vote game, but we've just run out of votes this week clearly. So it's a 1 vote 4 goal game, but was just in the right positions, the right time, and I keep still watching that last goal of his where he runs to the goal square with the 50 and just wondering what the Melbourne defender was actually going to do, because if he tackled him from behind, I'm thinking it would have been another 50. So I'm not sure actually what he was trying to do. One of Maxi Hall, that was a great game. It's another one of those ones you go, I wish I had more votes to hand out here. We gave ourselves more this year, and there's times we just think, well, we still wish we had more, but he's just a footballer. There's no nonsense, there's no flashiness. It's just rugged hard work, and he's putting it in every week, and some of the things he does are just magnificent. So he's just going on, and that's hopefully it's a long stay for him with us, because we have found an absolute gem amongst the rubble there. So, the other, and Parko's gone Wood. I've gone, Hunter Clark with my last one for the first lot there. I was saying last week I didn't like him as a sub, and this week just showed why he shouldn't be sub. He just set tones at times during the game. There was times where he knew we had to go, or knew we needed to just change the momentum of how we were playing, or pick the right option, not just try to rush here, or if we're a bit stagnant, to give us a bit of a run, or it was just a like a controlled game. So I was quite happy with that. So they were the 5 singles, and as Parker did 5 to Naz, it's almost felt like saying to you two, look, we'll give him 10 each, and then you can spread a couple of other ones amongst the others. And it's just one of those days you go, yeah, it just deserves to have, I guess, most of the votes, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And yeah, there's not a lot you can say about it, but from give him those numbers, because it's just about everywhere. That's the kind of thing. I don't think there's anyone. I'm pretty sure both the coaches gave him 5. I think most places are going to gave him the best on the ground. He's going to get the 3 Brownlow votes. There's just no arguing about, who was clearly best on.
Yeah, I mean, I was
your turn.
Yeah, pretty similar. I gave one to Jack Sinclair. I just keeps running. He keeps trying to be creative. I gave 2 votes to Jack Higgins. His best game for probably 8 weeks. He's gone through a bit of a rut after a real strong start to the season, where he was almost guaranteed an All-Australian spot, after the first 10 weeks of the season. Probably played himself out of the squad now, but performance like that can keep you in that conversation. We have 2 votes to Max Hall. I probably could have given 8 votes to Naz and 2 to Hall. I would have been comfortable with that, but I thought Max Hall was great. I mean, you touched on Max Hall's numbers, Darren. 5 clearances, the score involvements, 7 touches in the last quarter at 100% disposal efficiency, and he just goes at 100%. He's always moving, he's always hard at it, he's quick, he's always pushing, being proactive. To do what he did in that final quarter was a big reason as to why we had those moments in the final 8 seconds of the game. And then Naz, like both of you, 5 votes to Naz. I mean, clearly best on ground, even if we hadn't won in the way that we won. I mean, I think he was still clearly best on ground. His comparisons to the 94 Swans comeback, the difference then was that we had Plugger, and we don't. The game is so different now that sort of stuff happening is so rare. But I think you mentioned it, where it was like he just wanted the ball, and I remember talking to ex-players talking about that Sydney game, and Plugger didn't say a whole lot, but 3/4 time is just like, kick the ball near me, I'm going to go get it. That was what it felt like a little bit for Naz, and wanted the moment. We haven't had a bunch of guys, we haven't had a lot of players over the last 10 years since Ross V1, players that want the moment. They want the ball in their hands, and it was Rewalt, it was Goddard, it was Hayes, it was Harvey, it was these guys that managed to step up in those big moments and make things happen. We haven't had a whole lot of it since then, and I feel like Naz, I'm not even sure that I thought Naz had that in him. It didn't feel like it was his personality, but what he's shown this year, what he's shown in the last few weeks, the last month and a half, and particularly on Sunday, was get me the ball and I'm going to put you on my shoulders and I'm going to carry you home. And I feel like there are a couple of those young blokes, like Mateus Filippo gives me those vibes as well. Give me the ball, I'm going to make something happen. It was just, I mean, it was just a complete performance from Naz. And like I said, I could have given 8 to Naz, 2 to Hall, and I would have been pretty comfortable. But a couple of other blokes, yeah, as you guys have both said, deserved some credit. And yeah, it's just there aren't enough superlatives to describe the way that Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera is playing footy at the moment.
And Maxwell, one of the contracts, obviously, that we're after that we mentioned. There are a couple of others, Windhager and, of course, Nas being the main one. But, yeah, Maxwell, with the likely long-term deal, just gets better and better all the time, as we've mentioned. In terms of the other awards, the Jason Blake Award, we spoke to Dan Sultan, which will go up very soon as an individual chat, but he mentioned Angus Hastie a lot in that conversation. He gets my nomination for a couple of key moments. Obviously, the one on the wing where he was outnumbered in the last quarter, which Windhager had kicked it to the wing, which had cleared it out of our defence, which gave us a chance in the middle of the ground. And he forced it out of play, which with a minute to go, you're thinking maybe not the best play, but it was really his only option against a couple of experienced players to get it out, set up, give us a 50-50 chance. If they win the ball back there, Melbourne, they go forward and we lose. So he kills that. We win the clearance. Nas does the rest. We win the game. His contribution to that, and I think he's getting a little bit better all the time, Angus Hastie. So I gave him my nomination. That's not a possession. It won't do a thing on the stat sheet, but yeah, well done to him for that. Nick, your Jason Blake?
Anthony Caminiti's had a lot of detractors over the course of the year. You know, makes some silly mistakes when he's got the ball, but I'm not sure that there's a bloke that goes harder at the contest. You know, we can talk about Jack Steele and McRae and these guys. Hammer makes some silly mistakes, but you know, he is just putting his body on the line time and time again to try and impact contests, to try and win the ball back, to try and intercept, and to try and put us in the best position to rebound. And we know that when we're playing our best footy, that transition from defence to attack is a massive part of that. And I think that he's really, you know, bought into this effort game that Ross is so big on. You know, 100% effort, 100% of the time, all that type of stuff. Anthony Caminiti never takes a backward step. You know, I don't think there's games when he doesn't give 110%. You know, he's just out there flat out all the time. And he's getting better every week as he gets more experience. You know, he's playing this new role. But started him forward. They then moved him back. He's a bit of a Mr. Fix-It at the moment. He can do a bunch of things. And he's just been super valuable, I think, over the course of the journey, in his variety, what he's been able to offer and plug some holes and fill some gaps and play a role. And that's all we need him to do is play a role. And I think that was kind of the point of, you know, what Jason Blake brought to us. And there's a bit of that with Hammer. And I find his effort and his work ethic and all of those things, his commitment, really impressive. I'm not sure. I don't think it's the first time he's been nominated for this award, but yeah, I'm not sure it'll be the last either.
H?
I've had to go Huey Boxall. He wouldn't have been expecting to play that much game time. We've had Hastie out reasonably early, and he's come on and had a quite an impact on the game. 15 touches, 9 contested. Had score involvements. Just gave us a little bit something different to what Collard would have. It just felt like it ended up being a good change. Just gave us a different avenue, different, I guess, movement to what we otherwise would have had. And he's someone that I think we've all wanted to see a bit more of, and it was good to have him out there for a bit longer on the weekend, just to be able to get a bit more of that game time and show us what he's got. And he proved he can have an impact. And yeah, it's almost a point where you go, well, he's probably put his name in the ring to say, yeah, keep me in here, give me a full game, because he's just another one that can run through the middle, another one can, like Hammer's done a bit, just fill a little gap here and there for a period of time if a player goes off for a rest or what he gives us a couple of options, and I think he can be someone that has a really good impact on games for us in the future.
Yeah, I think some good shouts. Your 15 touches after coming on as a sub for sure. Shannon Nola, I've generally gone off field a little bit the last few times, and I'll kind of do that again. And it's not anyone's fault necessarily, but like even Grant Thomas, who we love, and he's been very good with his time here and love his passion and all of that type of stuff. But I know he spoke about, great result might have cost us a couple of draft picks, and similar was said last year when we beat Carlton and obviously ended up getting Taru, who we probably wouldn't have got earlier, which looks like it'll be a good result for us. I think those sorts of results are priceless, as I said, and I think we've got to stop. I mean, yes, that the draft's the draft and the recruiters will do what they do. If someone said, do you want pick 3 or pick 7, you're going to take pick 3, but the lessons you get out of winning games is far more important than that. So I guess my Shannon Knoll would be, let's not stop talking about when the win of the century cost us 2 draft picks. Let's talk about it being the win of the century, because I think that means more than a couple of additional positions in the draft. But H, your Shannon Knoll?
Oh, I've got to just anyone who decided 3/4 time was enough. It's, I mean,
are you throwing shade? Are you throwing shade here, H?
No. Well, there's genuine commitments and there's giving up. I've talked to a few people who were there, and they've had people all around them leave at around 3/4 time and that sort of stuff, and yeah, just kicked up the stink and left, and they're the ones who have missed out on seeing this. It's part of a reason why, yeah, you don't leave until the result is certain. It's, if we're 46 down with 2 minutes ago, fair enough, but a whole quarter, you as we've shown on the weekend, you just never know what's going to happen, and it's a case of, I saw Michael tweet out after the game saying there was 22,700 there, whatever. There'll be 227,000 people say they were there. So it's it's a little thing that there was probably lucky to be maybe 10,000 of our fans there at that point when it happened. So for those who stuck around, good job. But everyone else, just give it a chance next time. See what happens. Just hold on that a little bit longer.
Yeah, I heard stories that there were Saints fans that had got all the way to like Fed Square or whatever, and by the time the sirens sounded, they were more filthy than the Melbourne fans because they'd left and they weren't there. So, there would have been a bit of that. But Nick, your Shannon Knoll.
I'm going back on field. Mason Wood, and this is not a negative. This is not a crack at Mason Wood, because I think he's had, like a bunch of players, he's had his ups and downs this season. But what he showed in that final quarter was how important he can be for us, up on the wing and transition at halfback, long kicks forward, long direct, impacting up forward, strong mark, hitting the scoreboard. He just does a bunch of everything at a really high level. And it's so important that he plays good footy for the way that we want to play. He's that kind of link man between defense and midfield, or midfield and forward. Oftentimes this season he's had to play kind of a semi-key forward role just with personnel and all that type of stuff. So he's been in and out of the game, not the team, in and out of the game, and kind of being able to impact the game at times. But I mean, he's such an important player. He's been so good for us over the last few years. I think he reminded a lot of blokes, a lot of people, how good this guy is and how important he is to us when he's playing good footy. And I just love to see him. I'd love to see him get back to that, up on the wing and impacting around the ground and being able to be that link man rather than having to play deep forward at the top of the goal square and all those sorts of things. And, hopefully as we start to get guys back, there might be a bit of relief across the injury list over the next week or two. And hopefully we can get some more good footy out of Mason Wood across the wing and across half forward. And he's just such an important piece of what we're trying to do.
We'll turn our attention to that North game. Unplugged proud to partner with Ticketverse for the 2025 AFL season, but Saints season is winding down, of course. Don't stress, there's a world of sport still to play. Singapore Grand Prix, Caulfield Cup Carnival, Premier League blockbusters with a few of their hack teams like Man United, Chelsea and the Spurs coming out here. A few European giants like Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. Cricket, of course, basketball, rugby, which has been in town with the Wallabies and the like, or the supercars. Whatever you're into, one place has you sorted. Ticketverse premium seats, personalised service. Visit ticketverse.com.au to explore your options at Tickets Sorted. And great to have them on board. If you're interested in joining us as a partner, get in touch and find out more. We're happy to have a chat to anybody about any of that type of thing. As we said, Dan Sultan, you would have heard his dulcet tones if you're at the MCG for the Saints 150 alongside Ella Hooper of Killing Heidi fame and a few others. So that'll be a standalone chat of the celebrity realm. Had some really interesting things to say. We looked to North Melbourne. The injury list is an interesting one. Collard leg contusion. I'm not a medical expert, but I thought a contusion was like a big lump or I don't know, something.
It's like a big bruise, big knot kind of
something
thing,
sticking out, big swelling or something. I don't know. Like it's
basically,
something that's not supposed to be there. Obviously, Darcy Wilson will have served concussion protocols, so hopefully he's right to play. But then you got the interesting ones. Filippo, does he come straight in? He's listed as a test. Isaac Keeler, do we need Hyde again? Although Tristan Cherry isn't playing for North for suspension, and Coleman Jones is injured. Garcia, does he come straight back in, listed as a test as well? I thought Collard was a certainty to miss, but it appears he's not, that they might omit him anyway based on the limited game time and obviously didn't have a huge impact when he was on. But Nick, what changes would you make? That's probably the only one. I mean, Zach Jones played well enough to hold his spot. Boxall clearly played well enough to hold his spot. Is it Wilson for Collard? Is it Filippo for Collard? Or do they look at it and say, we want Filippo to play, we want Keeler to play, we want Garcia to play, and they make a few changes?
Does Sandy have their 83rd bye of the season this week? Or
well, they've played a game, so they're probably due another one. Well, Paddy Dow's probably worth mentioning. He's had 31 again.
Yeah.
Travali had 30. Yeah,
Paddy Dow probably deserves a run. I mean, from what he's gone through and come back from, I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him play again. I mean, the one for me is probably, I mean, if it's Collard that's out, it's for me either Wilson if he's good to go, or it's Garcia that comes in. I mean, I think we're talking about Mateus Filippo. We're talking at someone who we see as a bedrock of this squad.
Yes,
for the next 10 years. Do we want to risk that now against against North Melbourne in a game that doesn't really matter? When he's already had stress issues, in his lower body and leg and foot and back and all those sorts of things.
Give him half a game at Sandy, maybe. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I feel like Mateus Filippo in general is too good to play VFL. Like, but I think when you've missed as much footy as he has, for the types of injuries and the types of issues that he's had, you just don't risk it. You don't risk it by bringing him straight back into the ones at the heat and the level and all those sorts of things. Garcia hasn't put a foot wrong. I mean, he got injured a couple of weeks ago. It's the only reason he missed. If he's good to go, then it's probably Collard out, Garcia in. If he's not right, then maybe Wilson's good to go and get some more run and carry. I really want to see these young blokes play out the season. I want to see Wilson, play 3 games to end the season. I want to see Hasty play every game for the rest of the year. I want to see Garcia back in. I don't know how I feel about Max Heath and Isaac Keeler, and that's just, I'm very 50-50 on those two. But I want to see these guys that have proved that they can play at the level over and again over the course of the last season and a half, like Garcia and Wilson. I just want to see them get the run and get more Ks in the legs, get more games of experience. And I think that's, we want to see these guys play football. And so that would be it for me, either Garcia or Wilson in for Collard, depending on who's in the best best health, I guess. Assuming Collard goes out, I don't think. I was kind of a bit confused that Collard got the nod to come back in the team, to be honest. So it'd be one of those two for me, Garcia or Wilson for Lance Collard. How about you, H? What do you see there?
Trav had 30 odd, I think. Nick, too.
Yeah, I'd love to see him.
Has done enough.
I'd love to see him come back in, but are you gonna take out a Hasty or? Who do you take out for someone like a Travali? I'd love for Toby to be in the team and play the last 3 or 4 weeks as well. He's another one that I'd just like to see get some miles in the legs, but I'm not sure what role he plays and who you bring out for him.
Is there a call to give the likes of maybe Jack Steele a week off and just rest up for the last 3 games, or just make a call like that? Or Heath went back and in a game where it was we've lost by 10 goals, had 24 touches and number of hitouts, and I think it was 11 clearances. So he performed on the day in a game where we didn't get a lot of it by the looks of it. So is there a call to perhaps rest a couple of senior players or a senior player, or is there a name that we haven't had yet that we might think about possibly bringing in as a before last week, before Heath went back, it was Dodson was playing some pretty good football as well. Is there a call to possibly give him a chance as the second ruck and
maybe have a look
how he goes? There's a few opportunities over the next few weeks when you think we've got North, Richmond and Essendon. The teams that you think, well, at the moment, they're not that, I guess, far above VFL level. They're the Essendon's playing I think the rep team from the Essendon Football League at the moment.
I think they've had 14 debutants or something, and about 11 on the side at the moment.
Ridiculous. So there's opportunities in weeks coming up. I wouldn't go, throw 10 changes in and get them all in at once. It's find a position, give them a job and see how they go. And it's given the opportunity to maybe just show, hey, I've got it. I've got something here. So it's Dodson is one that I've been hearing a bit about, and I wouldn't mind giving him that opportunity to just give it a go and see how he goes, because he's not huge yet, but a bit of time in the gym and that sort of thing is going to put on a bit of muscle, and he's going to turn into a big guy that there's been a few saying that they can see him turning into like a Gawn kind of ruckman, that sort of area. So it'd be good to see, maybe a little early on to see what he can do.
Before I wrap up, I'm going to ask 2 rapid fire questions. Used to play rapid fire on SEN a lot, where first thing that comes into your head, so no thinking, just literally the answer that comes into your head. So both answer at the same time. Don't wait for each other. If you answer at the same time, we'll decipher the questions anyway. I want to ask who has more upside out of this player or this player. So I've got 2 of them. So first thing that comes into your head, who has more upside, Keeler or Heath?
Keeler.
And I think both of these guys will make it, but who has more upside, Garcia or Wilson?
Wilson.
I like Garcia, to be honest.
I like Garcia too. I really like Garcia and the way he goes about it, but I think Wilson is kind of untapped potential.
I love Wilson, but there's just this little edge to Garcia that I love about. But he's got that hard edge, sort of just get in and knock a few blokes over to get the ball. Wilson's a brilliant runner. I just love that hard edge that he's going to step in there, hopefully step in behind Steele over this time and take that sort of role.
I just don't know. I think the one for me is the word potential. I think Darcy Wilson has more upside in that I feel like he can get a lot better. And, wingmen, midfielders, etc., that hit the scoreboard are so valuable. And I think he has the potential to be a 24 to 28 touches a week game and kick a goal. And kick a goal each week. Whereas Garcia, I think we know what he can do. Like there's place for him in this team. Absolutely. I'm just not sure how much better he's going to get. I think he can get more consistent. I think he can get stronger and all those sorts of things. But from pure potential perspective, I think the answer is, well, for me anyway, is Darcy.
Yeah, we might put both of those on socials as questions. Obviously, it won't be rapid fire if it's on socials. You could take as long as you want to answer, but with those two. But yeah, main reason I've asked the second one, I kind of tacked it on. But I thought Keeler would be the answer, and it is for me too. That's nothing against Heath, but yeah, I think Keeler's shown a bit this year with some versatility, so that will be interesting. But we turn our attention to the Kangaroos, another Sunday fixture in that sort of lunchtime graveyard slot, but hopefully it can be ours. You can get sorted through Ticketverse as well. Last chance for premium seats at Marvel Stadium's Medallion Club. Obviously, the rest of the year we go MCG Tigers, away game Bombers, and then the Giants at one of their venues. I think it's Western Sydney, not Canberra, but exclusive access to fine dining, bars and more. Visit ticketverse.com.au to explore your options at Tickets Sorted. It was a cracking week and hopefully a cracking final month. Go Saints.